Hey, what's happening, all you animation lovers out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din coming at you again with another one-off review. I have received a request by Rich Dante 96 of AM Productions to review this special little gem called Monstracity. Which is a very interesting name because it's just like, is it Monstrosity or Monstracity or I like a name that kind of makes you think a little bit. But this is done by Ha Animation or HA Animation, and it's titled New Beginnings. So let's jump into this one and see what it's all about so I can give you a little bit of an endorsement, because that was the request, to endorse this product. So, we open up with this young girl, Charlene, who's, seen having fun with her father, pretty much. We're trying to build this relationship here that this girl deeply loved her father. She has this best friend called Bronson, who's very logical. He loves science and all that, while Charlene is all about fanciful stuff and magic and all that good stuff. So, an interesting juxtaposition in their two characters. We're also introduced by this girl who named Carmen, who at first seems very sweet on the onset, but she's actually very much a bully of all things. So she goes around just bullying these two kids, and we get a little bit more of Charlene and her relationship with her dad, and that Bronson is also very close to the family as well. And at every turn, in comes Carmen, completely just trying to break down everything that Charlene finds interesting and has a passion for. And Bronson, not being one to indulge in fantasy stuff, doesn't really back her up too much, but he still embraces and cares for what she cares about, because that's how friendship works. We're also introduced to a fourth character named Kari, who's portrayed as very much a bit of a coward. She's very sensitive to the minorest things, and she ended up getting lost because she saw a worm on the ground and ran away from her mom. But with a little bit of some encouragement from Bronson, she's able to find her happy place, which involves Owl City's good time? Okay. But they're able to help calm down Kaori, and eventually her mother finds her. So these trio ends up becoming good friends. We then cut to 7 years later, which I guess all of the rest of that was set up. And, Charlene has grown into a young woman, but her dad has kind of fallen ill. I'm not really sure. It's not made too clear. He's significantly gotten older, but it's very much hard to say what's going on with him. And as Bronson and his mother come by, who is conveniently a doctor, unfortunately he ends up passing away right as they arrive. So, that's kind of rough. Just his dad up and dying all of a sudden. And a few days later, we see that apparently Charlene is living with Bronson and his mom, and Kari even comes over to hang out. So apparently they're all friends now. And Bronson's mom tries to talk to Charlene in a kind of a little bit of clunky dialogue where she just opens up and just like, "Why aren't you more sad about your dad's death?" Because it's been a few days and Charlene doesn't seem to be deeply phased by any of it. And Bronson's mom is trying to get her to open up a little bit more, that she lost her wife not too long ago, and she knows how depression and all that can be. So it comes from a place of knowing what it's like to be in a emotional state like all that. So it's kind of sweet. But Charlene just kind of brushes it all to the side. So the next day, it's just like, man, we got a lot of just build up in this. It's very front ended, but we get into the real meat and potatoes. The next day, we see um, Carmen has grown up and she's still a brat, and Charlene is basically shirking all of her schoolwork and all that good stuff. But luckily for her, they have a field trip to a quarry where we see that for some reason Carmen is digging around down in the quarry. Charlene is bribed by Bronson to go and check out what she's up to. And Kari ends up finding a golden chicken little head. Like, what? I'm so confused by this. And Kari scopes out where, well, Carmen scopes out where Kari found the head and goes digging around in it and finds apparently what she was looking for. Apparently, some kind of magic staff, which suddenly whisks into the hands of Charlene for some reason, and then it summons this magical being, this really Dark Lord esque looking dude who just shows up, takes the staff, and just unleashes this portal that sends all these monsters just flying out of it all of a sudden. And when, Charlene's question is just like, okay, what the heck is going on here? Suddenly the wizard dude is, has gets whispered to by Carmen, and he just whisks all of them away. And Charlene and the rest of them wake up to find themselves in a city filled with monsters or magical creatures who are just living their everyday lives. And as the trio try to scope up their surroundings and get some food, they find out that there's a different form of currency in this place, and when the storekeep finds out they don't have any money, suddenly he turns into a werewolf. Whoa. We then cut back to the wizard dude who's talking about, unleashing his horde and magic and all that kind of stuff, and completely taking over the city of humans for his own. Meanwhile, we find out that Carmen was apparently supposed to be learning magic the entire time she was here, but she hadn't been doing that and ends up being teleported away by the wizard guy, thus ending our pilot. It's interesting enough to end on a cliffhanger, though, I must say, while limited animation isn't terrible, look no further than home movies, that still ended up being very good with limited animation, and you also have South Park. I do feel like more scenes would have been a little bit better. Some variety kind of break up the monotony of just having character in like a mid-angle shot just talking at you. But not terrible setup, but it does feel like a lot of the stuff we saw towards the front end, Carmen coming and being a new student, then meeting up with Cowrie, the relationship she seems to be developing with Bronson, and the death of Charlene's dad. I feel like a lot of that should have been more like a flashback for later on. With a pilot, you want more of the meat and potatoes of the story. You want to get that first vibe of what you're getting into. And you don't really get that. You don't really get the title of this entire series to the back half of it. So, a little bit clunky, but if you leave a lot of the initial stuff, like I want to say the first 7 minutes of this pilot, which is saying something because that's half of the whole pilot, but the first 7 minutes of this should be left for like backstory. It should be a flashback for later on in the series. You want to build intrigue for this stuff first and then put it out there of what happened. But overall, there is definitely something here. It just requires a little bit of polish, time, and effort. So I hope that Ha Animations continues to develop this story and, just expound upon it, think it through a little bit on the order of how things should go, and just flesh it out a little bit. This really deeply takes me back to the days when I was in going to school for animation before I got my bachelor's in animation. So it kind of takes me back. This is kind of work that I would have loved to work on. Voice acting was fairly decent, especially for the main characters, Charlene and Bronson. Kari could use a little work, as so could Carmen, but altogether, not bad for, just a short, limited run Flash animation. But I hope that to see more of this, to see it expounded, grow, and to hell, You never know. It might one day become the next big thing in a few years. So continue to develop this, continue to grow. Thank you to um, what was it? Rich Dante 96 for the request. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you'll check out more of my stuff on the channel. Until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see y'all later. Bye bye.